Yeah, guys, so let's get started with the next series. So, here after the About Me page, we'll be constructing the skills section. So, this is a section where you can show off your skills. Um, Basically, the programming languages or any frameworks that you can just um, showcase that here. So, firstly, I'll just copy the same center tag which I used before for the knowledge section and assign the class of this section as skills and ID as skills and change knowledge to skills. So under the section you can basically show how much percentage of knowledge you have in a particular language. So for that thing the skill section is used. So here we'll be using a bar kind of a layout where um, for each language we'll be showing the percentage of knowledge that you have. Consider HTML 90 percentage. So we'll have HTML written on the top and displaying that you know 90% of it will show that in a bar format. So we'll have a bar of 100% and since 90% of that will be colored, like only 90% of that full 100% line bar will be covered with uh, some color, any color like crimson. So it'll give a loading. We have seen this loading icon in games, right? So it's something similar to that. So we'll be using divisions to divide each of the section. So first we have bars as a class. We have then info as a class. Then we use span element to basically put both of them in the same line. So span HTML, span 90%, which says that language HTML of knowledge which you have is 90%. So for that purpose this is used, and you should understand why I'm using divisions in all the places. So the advantage of using divisions is that it divides each of your pages into sections, so where you can apply CSS to each of that section independently. So in order to do that, division in CSS plays a very important role. So yeah, this is a span element which is done. So here I've used a division class line HTML. So this is where we'll be actually displaying the percentage of the knowledge you have in that language. Suppose say 90%, we'll be displaying that 90%. So I'll tell you how exactly we'll be doing that. So we'll be coding this CS part of this section. So we had used a class skills, so we'll just call that skills dot skills. And here we are going to go inside of the skills section. So we have to use hierarchical order. So dot skills dot bars. Since we are going to design the bars here, we are going to use dot dot. So basically from skill section you're going inside the bar. So we are going to design that since we are using this kind of syntax dot skills dot bars, and I'm going to use CSS Flex Layout. So as I told, Flex Layout is basically used to make things responsive. So I use display flex. Then under flex you'll have a lot of options called align items, justify content, etc. So align items is basically when you have to align items on the cross axis. Cross axis basically means from the left to right, horizontal direction, and justify content means the main axis, which is from the top to bottom, the vertical direction. So for the align items again center, so basically I want to align these items to the center, that's to the center of the page. And justify content is that when the page shrinks, like suppose you have three divisions side by side from the left to right, and if you want, when the page shrinks like to the mobile device, you want all of them to be one below the other, right? So in that case we use justify content to maintain space between those divisions. So in that way this helps. Now we'll be coding the skills part of the span section. Like span we wrote, right, the HTML 90%, so that will be designing a little bit. So dot skills, and we're going inside of the span. So we're going to make the font a little bit bolder, so font weight bolder, and increase the font size to probably some 20 pixels. And now we'll be coding the line part. So line is basically, as I told, the percentage bar chart. So for that we'll be going inside of skills and then dot line. So we'll be giving some height of probably 6 pixels. The height depends on you, you can give any height. And the width, so initially it's 100%, and whatever, like suppose only 90% of that will be coding later. So for that you use .skills.html. Then inside that we use before tag. So before tab, as I told, basically is used to include any content before the section. So in that case, you have to use before tag, and after syntax is basically used in CSS to append anything after the section. So in this way, before and after is used. So for the skills.line, I've given height of 6 pixels, width is 100%, and background color to be gray, and position to be relative. So position, when you make it relative, what happens basically, things will get overlapped. So suppose you have one thing over the other. So if you make position relative, then this will take the higher priority. So when you position relative, all the contents that you put under the section will overlap with each other. So in that case, this plays a role. So for the HTML part, I've assigned width as 90%, height as 150%, border radius to be 1 rem, but still some changes needs to be done. It's not getting reflected because out of this 100%, we know only 90%. So that 90% in the line should be filled with crimson color, crimson or any color. So let's check where the issue is. Skills dot line, height, width. I think we have missed to give the color here. Like for the HTML part, we know 90%. I think we have to give the color. So I think that part is missing. So we'll just copy this dot skills dot line again. And now we're talking the before of the line, right? So dot skills dot line, we use a double colon thing before, and assign the background color here to be crimson. So basically, through this we are telling that we know 90% of the language. So if the entire bar chart is present, in order to color some part of that bar chart, we are using this syntax here. So whenever use before or after tag, the content syntax becomes necessary. So if you don't want to append any content before or after the section, then you just use content and then put the inverted commas with no content inside of it. So yeah, so it's fixed now. So basically I just first created the behind the bar thing, like the gray color thing, then I coded the crimson part. So once you do this, the rest becomes very easy. I'll tell you how that happens. So we'll just have to give some margin top, I guess for the skills.line. So once we do that, yeah, it looks much better now. Probably I think it's 0.7 look good. So yeah, good. So we'll be doing the same thing for the other skills as well. So I'll just be adding 3 skills here: HTML, CSS and JS. So if you have any other skills to add, you can add as many skills you want. You just have to change the line part to different class, so that you can use your different percentage there. So suppose if I give CSS as 80% and JS to be some 70%, I need to change my CSS accordingly for that. So you just have to give a different class to it and make necessary changes in the .css file. So you just have to copy paste here .skills.html, paste it and replace HTML with this CSS and HTML with JS in this case, and just change the width here. So CSS 80% and JS to be 70%. Just change that, and changes will be automatically reflected in the live server. So I guess we have to give some margin top to the span elements. So we either give it in the CSS file or you just write an inline CSS in the HTML file. Either way is fine. I think here, no, it's not getting affected. So we might have to give for the bars probably. Or I guess it's better to give in the HTML file itself rather than designing it here. So yeah, we go to the HTML file, and then in the class bars we just assign style and give margin top of 0.7 rem. So you can give any value according to your comfort, but at the end it should look neat. So yeah, this looks much neater. So yeah, this is all about the skill section. You can add as many skills as you want, and I've tried to code similar to mine. The reason I'm not coding similar to mine is that I want you guys to explore more, use your own creativity to build your own style. So that's all I wanted to say. And yeah, we'll just give a small hyphen to point that for the particular language how much percentage we are giving here in this case. So for that, just give a small hyphen. There are many ways to do this. It's not only this bars thing, bars kind of style that I'm using. You can also use cards design, etc. So that's it for now. We'll meet in the next video.